Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining today. Today we'll be looking at a bit of introduction on Python, and then we'll look at one or two shortcuts that we'll need while using Jupyter notebooks. Then I'll introduce you to about 3 resources that you would need along the line to complement whatever you'll be learning. So a brief history about Python. Python was created by this gentleman over here called Guido van Rosen, and he did create Python in the year 1990, which is not too far from now. Don't be deceived by the picture. He's currently alive, and there are a lot of interviews about him out there. If you really want to check out on that, you can just go to YouTube and then Google, put in his name, and you find a lot of interviews on him. And then along the line, there was an improvement in the earlier creation of the Python version, and that gave birth to what we call Python 3. That was in 2008, and that has been what we've been all using till date. However, there have been several versions, and we are currently using the latest version if you recently installed Anaconda. So that is what we're using now. Now the big question is why Python in the first place? Now Python is one language, one programming language that is so broad and versatile. It is one tool that every data analyst needs, every data scientist needs. And when you go out there to research, you realize that most of data analyst jobs that have been published out there will require that you have these 4 skills: Python, SQL, Excel, and then Power BI. And trust me, among all these skills, Python stands out. If you know Python, you are regarded as someone who is really skillful in data analysis. So probably that's the reason why we are here to all learn Python. And another reason is that it has become the most popular programming language currently, regardless of the fact that it was created way later after most of these programming languages were created. This data was collected from was actually sourced from Statista in 20. This data reflects the most popular programming languages in 2023, and this proves that Python is a big deal. Now we need to ask ourselves why the popularity. Something that just came in has become so popular and has overtaken all its predecessors. So the first reason is that Python is easy to read. When I say easy to read, we all know that when we hear programming languages, we are looking at some weird, some awkward kind of writings and all that. Fortunately for us, Python is very close to the normal English language that we know. So that is what it means. So it's very easy to understand, and for that reason, it's become the favorite for oldies and even newbies as well. Now the second reason for its popularity has to do with its extensive library and framework. So we would get into that later on, but just to give you a brief understanding of that, the libraries are basically let me say add-ons, additional tools that we can add on to our Python environment to make it more to extend its usability and the functions that we'll be able to perform within the Python environment. Then the next thing is that there is great documentation out there. Python has official documentation that we can have access to by visiting docs.python.org. When you go there, you are assured that basically every information about Python, you are going to have access to those information right on this website. And my favorite of the popularity issue has to do with the massive community. What this means is that there are millions and millions of people out there who are using Python. There are millions of experts out there, and it means that whenever you run into an issue, you are well assured that there are millions of people out there to help you out get back on track. Good. So let's quickly look at the program overview, how everything is going to be structured. Well, start with the introduction. That is what I'm currently doing. And there is within the introduction, we're looking at Python setup, which I've already shared a video with you guys. if you are yet to watch the video, I would advise you watch the video and go ahead and install Anaconda, and then try to learn Jupyter notebook, and then just play along with it. Now after these slides, I would be taking you through some basic concepts, basic shortcuts that we can employ when we are using Jupyter notebook to make our life easier. Then I will introduce you to some learning resources that you would need to complement whatever that we'll be learning. Then we may or may not look at Git and then GitHub. I pray we have the time to go through that because it's also very important. Then after this session, there's not going to be any slides. We are just going to delve right into live code sessions. So let's go. And so the live code sections will be starting with objects and data structures. Within that, we'll be looking at Boolean, tuples, numbers, lists, strings, dictionaries, sets, and there are others we would also look into. Then from there, we'll look at comparison operators. Then we will then move on to Python statements, in which we'll be looking at loops, if, elif, else, range, and one interesting topic called list comprehension. Then from there, we'll jump to the very steep learning curve, that is method and functions. Now let me just cut this across. When we start with the Python, everything will look very smooth, very simple, but most of the times, I'm not saying that is always the case, but most of the times when people get to methods and functions, they normally give up. It's just about constantly trying to go over the same thing over and over and over again, and eventually you grasp the concept. I would have to say that methods and functions are what makes and unmakes. So if you're able to just cross this section, trust me, you are through with Python. All right, so we'll look at within the session, we'll look at methods, we'll look at functions, then another interesting topic called the lambda expressions. Then we'll look at nested statements and then scope as well. Then we'll finally look at error handlings. Okay, so that is that for the program outline. So we just move on to our live code session, though it's not actually a coding section, but we are starting live demonstration, so let me just call it that. So we just switch to our Jupyter notebook,